Hi and welcome to Plus TV Africa. Thank you for joining us today as Muslims all over the world celebrate Eid al-Kabir. I'm Lakbay Banjo. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo says the focus of the present administration is to take Nigerians out of poverty. He said all government programs and projects were geared towards achieving that objective. According to a statement on Wednesday by his senior special assistant on media and publicity, Mr. Laolu Akonde, the vice president spoke during a town hall meeting in Bariga Shomolu Local Council Development Area, Lagos State, to facilitate with negotiations on the Eid al-Kabir celebrations on Tuesday. Osinbajo said the government was targeting those at the lowest level so they can do better. Osinbajo noted that the administration's national social investment programs were geared towards improving the welfare of ordinary Nigerians. Bayelsa State Governor Seriake Dickson has asked Nigerians to shun ethnic division, hate speech and other acts that threaten the unity of the country. In a statement on Tuesday by his Chief Press Secretary, Francis Agbo, he urged Nigerians and Muslims to love one another and pray for peace for the nation. The governor called on the people to take advantage of the Salah celebration to propagate brotherly love amongst Nigerians, irrespective of their religion or ethnic background. The governor believed Nigeria can only thrive and become a great nation again if the citizens live in peace. He also urged Nigerians to imbibe the unity of purpose and love, which he said inspired the nation's founding fathers to collectively fight for the independence of the country. The National Working Committee of the All Progressives Congress has ordered the immediate recommencement of the continuous nationwide membership registration in all 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory. According to the party, the decision was taken in response to calls from members of the public interested in joining the APC to support the change agenda of the President Muhammadu Buhari-led administration. This was contained in a statement signed by the party's acting National Publicity Secretary, Yekini Nabena, in Abuja on Wednesday. A magistrate's court in Oru, Imo State, was set on fire this morning. Eyewitnesses report that about 20 young men set the court building ablaze. The police spokesperson in the state, Andrew Enwerem, who confirmed the incident and said that it was a case of suspected arson. Enwerem said that the Commissioner of Police, Dadudki Galadanchi, had mandated the area commander in charge of Orlu Zone to commence full investigations into the matter. Senator Godswill Akpabio's media aide, Aniyetie Ekong, wrote on Facebook on Tuesday night that some gunmen reportedly stormed the country home of the senator around 7:30 p.m. in Akwa Ibom State, where he was holding a political meeting with Mr. Ekong, who also wrote on the social media site ongoing sporadic shooting by unknown gunmen at Ukana Ikot Ntuen. SCN Udim local government, the country home of former Senator Minority Leader Senator Godswill Akpabio. The Divisional Police Officer SCN Udim and the Commissioner of Police of Akwa Ibom State should please urgently intervene. The senator is safe, Mr. Ekong told pressmen on Wednesday morning. Hours to the closure of the Third Mainland Bridge for a 3-day maintenance test alongside the recent collapse of a portion of the Genoa Bridge in Italy, it is a reminder of the condition of our bridges in Nigeria and what befalls us if stringent measures are not taken to ensure our bridges are safe. Our correspondent Susan Jasper files in this report.
Days after this bridge collapsed in Italy, a full-scale investigation is launched, and locals are still in shock seating from this tragic incident. What may have caused this bridge to buckle? As these questions continue to be asked, answers may not be readily available, at least for now. This is Eko Bridge in the commercial heartland of Nigeria. The bridge has existed for 43 years. Maintenance remains a big issue, and added to the lack of it is this site. With the roads leading to Apapa and Tinkan Island ports in disrepair, traffic congestion, and the inability to keep in check haulage and heavy good vehicles that ply the roads, Commuters are inconvenienced by these trucks, which remain stationary for weeks on end, posing not just a security threat, but a threat to the bridge.
The trucks generally have made our highway death trap. We wake up so very early to come to work and we get to work very, very late.
This engineer has lived in Lagos for all his life. He remembers the time the bridges were constructed. Not many understand the dynamics of bridge building and safety hazards, which weaken the structures that hold bridges together.
A lot of the bridges we see in Lagos, we have more than enough reason for concern. The one in Jibo to Ojuelegba also, it's always under the load of trailers and tankers and so forth and so on. In fact, if you look under that bridge, you may not know, but a structural engineer would know, you see signs of distress. There are cracks under that bridge. The Third Mainland Bridge, if you look on the bridge, you'll see areas where you have those gaps. Sometimes you can just see that something is wrong here. Maybe some of the joints are now moving excessively. There are cracks around them. We don't really use suspension bridges here in Nigeria, in Lagos, because our bridges are of relatively shorter spans. But in spite of that, we need to pay attention to inspection and routine maintenance of our bridges.
From an enforcement perspective, how can heavy-duty trucks be sensitized about the dangers they pose?
Before you come in as a fleet operator, you must make sure that you put in those things that is required. You must have a loading bay, and we've been engaging all fleet operators in that regard.
And for the commercial nerve, which prides itself as Africa's third largest economy, what next, and what would it take to keep the bridges safe? Susan Jasper, Plus TV Africa.
Thanks, Susan. We'll take a quick break and stay tuned for more news when we return. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. And on the African scene, Zimbabwe's Constitutional Court will on Wednesday hear an opposition petition seeking to overturn the presidential election result in a legal challenge seen as unlikely to succeed despite allegations of vote fraud. The Movement for Democratic Change has accused the ruling ZANU-PF party and the Election Commission of rigging the July 30th vote, Zimbabwe's first poll since the ousting of Robert Mugabe last year. Mugabe's successor, Emmerson Mnangagwa, won with 50.8% of the vote, just enough to avoid a runoff against the MDC's Nelson Chamisa, who scored 44.3%. Mnangagwa, who has vowed to turn around Zimbabwe's ruined economy, hoped the elections would draw a line under Mugabe's repressive 37-year rule. The Justice Ministry in Morocco has revealed that King Mohammed VI has pardoned 889 detainees, including more than 170,000 arrested recently for taking part in protests in Morocco's restive RIF region. A royal decree was issued giving amnesty to those imprisoned as part of the country's measures to celebrate Eid, the ministry said in a statement. Manifesting a rare exhibition of religious solidarity, dozens of Muslims and Jews gathered in a port area at the Tunisian capital to witness the revival of the Madonna of Trapani, a Catholic tradition introduced to Tunis a century ago. The statue of the Madonna of Trapani was presented to Tunisians of all religions in celebration of the mid-August feast of the Assumption of Our Lady on Wednesday. Scores of Muslim residents and Jews of French origin who were born in Tunisia gathered outside the church at La Goulette. Prayers were led by a multicultural Catholic ministry, including Italians, Sub-Saharan Africans, and Asians. For security concerns, this year's procession was kept within the church compound. And when we return, we'll be bringing you news on Pope Francis, upcoming trip to Ireland, and more. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. On the foreign scene, the United States National Security Advisor John Bolton said Russia is stuck in Syria and looking for support to fund post-war reconstruction there, describing this as an opportunity for Washington to press for Iranian forces to quit the country. John, speaking to Reuters while on a visit to Israel, said the United States contacts with Russia did not include any understanding over a push by Damascus's forces against the rebels in Idlib. But he warned against any use of chemical or biological weapons there. Bolton sidestepped a question on whether these measures would continue, saying the US was staying in Syria to carry out some specific objectives.
Just to be clear, regime change in Iran is not American policy. But what we want is massive change in the regime's behavior. The consequences of the reduction in resources available to the regime, we think, is already manifest in some extent in constraints on the Quds Force in Syria and Iraq, and perhaps also in its assistance to the Houthis in Yemen. And that's very important. We're going to do other things to put pressure on Iran as well, beyond economic sanctions.
The celebrations of Eid al-Adha were marred by violence in Indian Kashmir summer capital of Srinagar, when an unidentified miscreant pelted stones on security forces on Wednesday. The demonstrators raised slogans and clashed with police personnel on duty in the Srinagar Eidgah area soon after Eid congregational prayers. They also pelted stones on security personnel who were trying to disperse them. Police retaliated by firing tear gas shells to disperse the crowds and restore peace. Following the allegations of sexual abuse that have rocked the Catholic Church recently, Pope Francis will be making a trip to Ireland on August the 26th to August the 27th to meet victims of clergy sexual abuse. The Vatican made this known during the general audience on Wednesday, which ended a week-long international Catholic gathering on the theme of the family. The Pope asked faithfuls to pray for him on his trip to Dublin, where the Vatican said he will meet victims of clergy sexual abuse.
Pregate anche per me, affinché il prossimo viaggio a Dublino, il 25 e il 26 agosto prossimi, in occasione dell'incontro mondiale delle famiglie, sia un momento di grazia e di ascolto della voce delle famiglie cristiane di tutto il mondo. Dio benedica voi tutti.
Up next is our business reports right after this break. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. And in business, according to reports from the National Bureau of Statistics, capital importation in the second quarter of 2018 dropped by 12.53%, comparing it to the first quarter of 2018. This decline left total CI at $5.51 billion from its record in the first quarter of 2018, but also represented a 207.62% increase when compared to the same period in 2017. The NBS attributed the decline in the second quarter of 2018 as a result of the 9.76% and 24.07% drop, both in the portfolio and other investments. However, it noted that the investment class accounted for the largest amount of capital class, despite the drop in portfolio investment. The Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria plans to recapitalize to the tune of 500 billion naira. Its managing director, Mr. Ahmed Dangiwa, has said. Dangiwa, who spoke with the State House correspondents after a closed-door meeting with Vice President Yemi Osinbajo at the presidential villa, said the recapitalization would boost service industry. On the rent-to-own housing scheme, he said the FMBN had funded estates in over 20 states of the Federation, which any contributor to NHF could go and choose the house where he wanted within the estates. He added that one does not need to have any equity contribution, as one will enter into the house as a tenant, and over the years it becomes one's property, like owner-occupier. Contrary to the first and second quarter of the year, global piracy reports of the International Maritime Organization ranking Nigeria as #1 in piracy. The Nigerian Administration and Safety Agency says security in the country's maritime space has been beefed up and improved in the past 1 year. The Director General of NIMASA, Dr. Dakuku Peterside, explained that the IMO report should be placed in a context. He added that huge investments are underway to ensure maritime security, such as the acquisition of 5 special mission crafts. Acquisition of 5 special mission aircrafts that will hover over our maritime space 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. Additional security efforts include the establishment of a satellite surveillance control and command center that has a coverage of up to 312 nautical miles from the coastline. And still ahead on Plus TV News is our roundup on entertainment and sports. We'll be back in a moment.
And in entertainment, Nigerian pop star Tiwa Savage has discredited reports about her alleged relationship with Wizkid. The singer debunked the rumors on a radio interview where she was heard saying Wizkid and herself are strictly friends. Remarking on her relationship with her ex-husband T-Bills, she said they maintain a good relationship because of their son. Popular Kenyan singer Mugai wa Njoroge is in the middle of a storm following the release of his new song titled Mbari ya Kimenendro, which translates as Clan of the Greedy. The music video shows Deputy President William Ruto and his family as fraudulent and materialistic, which has generated a major controversy in connection with the 2022 succession politics in Kenya. Njoroge has, however, reacted, saying people are out to smear his name. According to the singer, who spoke to newsmen in an interview, he said, and I quote, "I am a man of God and I cannot publish a song that will evoke ethnic tension," end of quote. Former Oscars boss and legendary producer Craig Zadan has died. He passed away at the age of 69, and the death was confirmed by NBC Entertainment chairman Robert Greenblatt, who said in a statement, "It is with profound sadness that I am announcing the passing of my dear friend and colleague Craig Zadan, who died of complications following shoulder replacement surgery." He continued further by saying, on behalf of his life partner Elwood Hopkins and his producing partner Neil Meron, we are stunned that the man behind so many incredible film, theatre and television productions, several of them joyous musicals, was taken away so suddenly. Craig was working on a TV event musical at the time of his death. And that's it on entertainment, the very best in sports, right after this.
Hello and welcome to Sport Update on Plus TV Africa. I am Udoka Njoko. Arsenal icon Thierry Henry has agreed to replace Gus Poyet as the new manager of Ligue 1 outfit Bordeaux. Bordeaux, who have picked up 0 points from their opening 2 Ligue 1 fixtures, will need Thierry Henry to help them bounce back. And Henry, who had an amazing club career with Arsenal and Barcelona, has been working as assistant coach of the Belgian national team since 2016, working alongside manager Roberto Martinez. Bordeaux recently suspended Poyet after an extraordinary press conference rant in which he criticized the club's transfer policy. And following the sudden news of Poyet, former Arsenal manager Arsene Wenger revealed Henry wanted to take his first step into management at Bordeaux. In July, Henry quit his role as a pundit on Sky Sports in order to achieve his ambitions of becoming a manager, and now it appears the Arsenal great has got his wish. And Aberdeen have rejected a bid in the region of £3.5 million from Celtic for defender Scott McKenna. And Aberdeen want to hold on to the defender, and that they have made it clear that the 21-year-old centre-back will not be sold during this transfer window. And the Scotland international, who is currently recovering from a hamstring injury, has won 4 international caps since making his debut in March.
And Celtic are keen to strengthen their defensive options with Dedrick Boyata's future still uncertain. And Aberdeen rejected 3 bids from Hull City in January for McKenna, who signed a contract extension on improved terms in March this year, running to 2023. And that's it on Sport Update on Plus TV Africa. I am Udoka Njoku.
Thanks, Udoka. And that's our news roundup of events at this hour. For more news updates, please follow us at Plus TV Africa on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. And do subscribe to our YouTube page at Plus TV Africa. We'll be back later with more stories making the headlines. Do join us. I'm Lakwe Banjo. Have yourself a great afternoon.